Welcome to week 8 of Bible Studies for Life. We're continuing the story of Abram in the book of Genesis. And kind of here's the setup for this week, okay? We're going to be continuing in chapter 12 and kind of edge into chapter 13. Abram gets called, and we saw this last week. Amazing, right? He's obedient. God tells him to go, he goes. What an amazing faith that he has. But Abram is not a perfect man. Abram is not a man who has reached the pinnacle. Abram is a man, right, who has faults, who has weaknesses, who has fears, and he struggles. He struggles with those things. And the Lord said, I'm going to be with you. I'm going to protect you, right? I'm going to bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. The Lord has given him promises of amazing faithfulness to him. Right, so Abram knows these things, and he's gone to this place. The Lord showed him where he wants him to be. He's put him in this spot where he wants him to be. And now, there's a verse that's left out of the study. It starts, I think the study starts at verse 10, but I think we got to read verse 9 first, because to me this is important, okay? So here we are. Then Abram journeyed by stages to the Negev. Now the Negev, this is south, right? So he's settled. He's where he's supposed to be. He's in this land, the Bethel, between Bethel and Ai. He's built an altar there, but for some reason, I don't know. Do we have any knowledge of why? For some reason, he starts moving slowly by stages. He's got a lot of people. It takes a little while, but he makes his way to the Negev. He starts moving south. Listen, we don't fall into deep sin. Usually, we don't fall into deep sin right off the bat. Usually, we slowly walk our way that way. We go by stages, farther and farther and farther away from where we're supposed to be, until finally we find ourselves where we are not supposed to be. Okay, so this is Abram. Okay, now. So there was a famine in the land. I had that verse there because I think that verse is important. It does tell us that he was slowly leaving where he was supposed to be. There was a famine in the land, so Abram went down to Egypt to stay there for a while because the famine in the land was severe. So there's a famine, and Abram just goes to Egypt. So he's already been working his way down to the Negev. Now, maybe the famine was moving him that way or something, but for some reason he had gotten to the place where God wanted him to be, and then a famine came and he decided, I need to move. And maybe this is because, well, that's what we do. That's what my family has always done. That's how we respond to a famine. We move to where there's no famine. But the Lord's calling him to faithfulness and to trust, right, and to relationship. And it appears that Abram is moving away from that trust and that relationship because he's trying to figure this out for himself. He's doing what we've always done. He's answering this problem the way the problem has always been answered in his lifetime and his family. This is what we do. But this is probably not the answer the Lord wants, right? Because he gets down to Egypt. Now, he's got a lot of people with him. He's not just, a single traveler, just with his wife. He's got a crew. Because he's moving them by stages, so he's taking everybody with him, and they're all ended up in Egypt, right? And when he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarah, "Look, I know what a beautiful woman you are." Oh man, look at that. He loves Sarah now. He's 75 plus years old. She's up there too, and he says, "Oh, you're so beautiful." When the Egyptians see you, they're going to say, well, that's his wife. Man, he's got a beautiful wife. So they're going to kill me, but they'll let you live because they want you. Right? Okay. Then he goes off the rails. So please say you're my sister, so it will go well for me because of you, and my life will be spared on your account. He just goes off the rails. He is afraid of what's going to happen. And what has the Lord told him? The Lord has told him, I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who hold you with contempt, treat you with contempt. He has this promise from the Lord. I will bless you, right? I will make your name great. I will give you a great nation will come from you, even though you don't have any children. That's why they brought Lot along, because they don't have any children, and they need someone young to help. He's his nephew. So even though we don't have that, the Lord said, I'm going to make you a great nation. But he says, look, we get down there, they're going to think you're so beautiful. They're going to kill me to take you as a wife because they're going to get rid of me. So why don't you just say you're my sister? And that way they won't kill me. Of course, you'll be taken as a wife to Pharaoh, and that'll be bad for you, but at least I'll be alive. I mean, he goes off the rails in this deal. Sarah goes along with it because she didn't have a lot of choice in the matter, right? I mean, she didn't have a place to tell him what for at this point in time. And he's the leader. He's the spiritual leader. And so the spiritual leader says, this is what we're going to do. And that's what they do. And so when they get there, sure enough, they tell him that Sarah, that's my sister. And so Pharaoh takes her in, puts her in his harem, and gives a lot of great gifts to Lot and Abram, and they're doing well. And Sarah's living in the Egyptian house. And here's Lot and Abram. They're making out pretty well until the Lord struck Pharaoh and his household with severe plagues because of Abram's wife Sarah. So Pharaoh sent for Abram and said, what have you done to me? Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she's my sister so that I took her as my wife? Now here is your wife. Take her and go. And then Pharaoh gave his men orders about him, and they sent him away with his wife and all he had. The Lord, while this was working out for Abram, the Lord was not pleased. And Pharaoh, who is somewhat innocent, I mean, Pharaoh he's a pagan, right? And he's doing what pagans, he's a sinner. He's sinning, right? But he didn't know. He's got multiple wives, and he took this woman to be his wife, and he's got his sin, right? Okay, let's just be honest about that. Pharaoh's got his sin, and he deserves whatever he gets in a sense, but he is thrown into deeper sin because of the actions of Abraham. And he figures out what's going on, and he and his whole household have these plagues, right? So his wives and children are having these plagues are falling on them, and they're completely innocent in a sense of this. They're not guilty of what they're having to suffer this for. And he says, what are you doing? And he's afraid. Pharaoh's afraid because he feels like he's going to die, and his only way out is to get rid of Abram and Sarah and send them back home. Right? Take her and go. The Lord used Pharaoh to set Abram straight. Abram, it was working for him. And in his mind, I see how he can justify what's going on. I guess the Lord's just blessing us because of this. Look how the Lord's blessed us. Abram went up from Egypt to the Negev, he, his wife, and all he had, and Lot with him. And Abram was very rich in livestock, silver, and gold. He had done well in Egypt. And he went by stages from the Negev to Bethel, to the place between Bethel and Ai, where his tent had formerly been, to the site where he had built the altar, and Abram called on the name of the Lord there. Okay. You see this? He ends up all the way back. But the reason I wanted us to read verse 9 is in part because I think we needed to see this deal right here in the middle, right? He went by stages from the Negev. It said the exact same thing back earlier, right? He journeyed by stages. He went by stages down, and he went by stages back. He slowly worked his way back to Bethel, right? To this area, the place between Bethel and Ai, where his tent had formerly been, to the site where he'd built the altar. And Abram called on the name of the Lord there. Repentance was slow for Abram, maybe even realization of what that sin was, and then what was a little slow? It took him a little time before he finally came back to the altar. He finally came back to call on the Lord. But he got there. And the Lord pulled him back. The Lord used Pharaoh. Whatever he had, the Lord drew him back to that spot. And that's where he calls on the name of the Lord again. Man, there's so much. But forgiveness, forgiveness is present and waiting. Repentance is necessary. That that slow journey away sometimes requires just as slow of a journey back. You know, it takes us a while to get back, but come back. Don't stop halfway back. Don't stop before you get all the way back to where the Lord is to meet with Him. Great story. Real dude, right? He's just a real guy, and that's all the warts, all the good and the bad and the ugly, right there with Abram. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps as you study, as you prepare, as you teach. Appreciate you watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done that. Like, comment, share it with others. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.